Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning Five here on Friday, June 2nd, 2023. I am Dave Biddle, very happy joined by Jonah Booker for his usual Friday visit. Well, last week he was in San Diego and we had Brian Hartline on. Not a bad fill in for you, JBook, to have Brian Hartline on, but glad to have you back, my friend. A lot to get into. We got a chance to interview all of Ohio State's assistant coaches earlier this week, which was really cool. I'll get to some specific questions for you in a moment. Just what was your main takeaway from the meeting with all those assistant coaches this week?
I would say the biggest one for me, Dave, is Jim Knowles. I think he talked to you guys for 26, 28 minutes there. And one thing about Jim is he's going to be open. He's going to be honest as far as much as he can with the media. A lot of coaches they're very walled off and they're going to be very vague. But with Jim, I thought that it was fascinating that he openly admitted that he may have made a mistake on how he handled the personnel last year. And the reason I say that, let me explain. He comes from a place at Oklahoma State, a place from Duke, to where you're going to have to ride those starters, until the wheels fall off because you only have so much talent there. At a place like Ohio State, it's completely different. It's a whole different type of ball game when you're recruiting 4 and 5 star guys. You can rotate some of those guys a little bit more and not see such a significant drop off. So Jim realizing that, yeah, maybe I can start to rotate guys. Maybe it is different compared to Oklahoma State to where I can go ahead and make sure that I keep my guys fresh come November. I thought that was a telltale sign. And then just his idea, coming into last year, Dave, he was very vocal about how he did not want to take his linebackers off the field, even in the fourth quarter. You look at the Michigan game last year, Tommy and Steele played every single snap. And I think that was a detriment to the team. I thought a lot of guys got wore down towards the end of the season. Now he's in a place to where he said, you know what? Now I can start rotating guys like C.J. Hicks and Gabe Power. Some of those younger guys start to get him a little bit more reps, so he feels more comfortable where he's at as far as a position coach. And I give him his props for being honest. A lot of coaches wouldn't swallow their pride and say, "Hey, maybe I looked at this the wrong way coming from the place where I was at previously. We did not have the depth. We did not have the talent like a place at Ohio State. Now that I'm here and I see how much talent that is in this building, maybe I can do a better job of getting some of these younger guys into the rotation."
Yeah, and Knowles, as you mentioned, he said C.J. Hicks is going to be unleashed this year. I mean, that was awesome to hear that. I know, but that was music to the ears of Buckeye fans out there. And then he also talked up Sonny Styles. He said there's multiple roles that they're going to have for him. Sounds like Sonny's going to be a little bit of a jack of all trades, master of all, not master of none. So, your thoughts on the comments about C.J. Hicks and Sonny Styles from Knowles?
When it comes to CJ, I'm in the mind frame, Dave. I'll believe it when I see it. I love what he said. I mean, I know for sure you guys that's going to be there doing the interviews will hold his feet to the fire if he does not unleash CJ Hicks this year because there is no reason why he shouldn't see the field as a 5 star. If Georgia can find a way to get their younger guys on the field playing at a high level, then Ohio State has to do it as well. There has to be a balance between saying, hey, I have to fully trust these guys 100% in order to get them on the field, even though they may be extremely athletic and talented, to where you're going to just get them out there, let them experience, let them take their lumps. You cannot replicate live game reps. So if he's going to unleash him, I would love to see CJ just flying around, getting at the quarterback, bending that art, more or less being that Baron Brownie that we all thought Baron Brownie should have been at Ohio State, but never really developed into that particular role like we're seeing with the Denver Broncos. And then when it comes to Sonny, I don't care how they do it, Dave. He needs to be on the field. If he's playing in the box, I know they said that he played extremely well in the summer as a deep safety. If he's going to be able to play deep safety, great. But make no mistake, he needs to be on the field. The question, Dave, is to be determined is how are they going to handle the rotation of the safeties? Because as I said, they're 6 deep. I think a lot of those guys are going to have to see the field. I know they like to play guys, 90% of the time when it comes to their starters. I know Lathan Ransom's going to play a significant amount. He saw every single rep against Michigan. But when you bring in Jahad Carter, who they think is going to be a great nickel safety, what are they going to do with Cam Martinez? Josh Proctor's back for like his 15th year, and he was getting first team reps all throughout the spring. So there's a lot of guys back there that they're going to have to figure out the appropriate way to utilize each one. And I think it's going to be, sort of a down and distance type of situation, as well as who is your opponent. If you're going against a Wisconsin that you believe is going to be a heavy run team, maybe that's an opportunity to get a guy like Sonny with his size down in the box.
And I think Kai Stokes might be the best free safety on this team, adjuster. I think, they're playing Lathan Ransom at bandit, and they're rotating different guys like Proctor at adjuster. I think Kai Stokes is the best free safety / adjuster on this team, but he was running with the twos. We shall see. I thought the second team safeties, as I've said before, looked better than the first team safeties during spring because you had Sonny Styles, Hod Carter, and Kai Stokes were your second team safeties during the spring. The good news is they got a ton of depth there, so they can definitely withstand injuries. And I like the depth at corner this year. All right, I want to get your thoughts on this. I believe in Coach Mick. The players all believe in him, but some fans are concerned maybe he's not keeping up with the times. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not there to watch the workouts. They, for some reason, don't let the media in to watch these workouts. But what are you hearing? What do you think? Do you feel like Coach Mick is still one of the best? Is he keeping up with the times? What are your thoughts, JBook?
I will say this, Dave. When you look at that Georgia game, I thought it was not a physicality issue when it came to Ohio State winning or losing that game. I felt like Ohio State offensive line really took it to that Georgia front. So if you're looking at far as, physicality and strength, I do believe they're right there. But the one aspect that a lot of people do need to ask is, why does Ohio State have so many injuries? I mean, every single week that you look at that injury report, Dave, and you're like, well, this guy just played last week. Like, how in the world is he out this week or questionable this week? Like, there are so many soft tissue injuries within this program. I do think that is something that needs to be looked into. And I truly believe, Dave, that we did see some guys get a little too big, a little too stiff. You look at Jack Sawyer, I think they put a little too much weight on him. I thought he was really stiff in the hips. Caden Curry came out, said that he put on too much weight, so he had to drop back down. It's to be determined with a lot of those other younger defensive ends. Did they put on too much weight? There's a lot of people, Dave. We've had it on some of the spaces before, strength and conditioning guys who went over there and watched Mick, and they do believe that Ohio State is a little behind when it comes to the sports science aspect that you see in the SEC. But Coach Mick, he's a true grizzled veteran when it comes to it. Will he change? I don't think he will change. I don't think the monkey's going to get off his back until Ohio State turns around, beats Michigan, and wins the national championship. Other than that, I think the Ohio State fans, they're going to be very vocal about, do we need to focus more on modernizing the strength and conditioning program? Because that was Urban's guy. A lot of people believe that Coach Mick is doing the same things that they were doing at Florida now at Ohio State when the game has significantly changed. I'm not in that weight room. A lot of people who has visited have that belief. So to me, I just think that until we start to see the injuries reduce, until we see Ohio State take the beating to Michigan and go on and win a national championship, there will be a lot of question marks about where we're at as far as the strength and conditioning program.
Brian Hartline, offensive coordinator now. How do you think he will do at calling plays if, which is a big if, Ryan Day actually gives up play calling duties? It might be a collaborative effort where maybe they're obviously going to collaborate, but like it might be a situation where Hartline calls some plays, Day calls some plays. But if Hartline is the play caller, how do you think he'll do?
That's the magic question, Dave. I mean, they're paying him the big bucks here. I personally don't think that Brian's going to be 100% the guy in the booth calling all of the plays. I truly believe it's going to be a group effort with him and Justin Fry, with Ryan Day ultimately having the final say. If they're having a situation where they're struggling to get the flow of the game, meaning that a really good offensive coordinator, Dave, they're going to set up the big play early on in the series, early on in the previous drive. So if I want to hit you with a 9 route and I see that your safeties are cheating over, then I'm going to do little things within the offense to make those safeties bite. But you just can't go out and do it. You have to be able to set that play up. Or if you see a trap when it comes to a run game, if I want to set that trap up, I'm going to have to do things previously to get them out of position. Brian Hartline doesn't have that experience to say, hey, I'm going to set these consecutive plays up and I have something in my back pocket if they continue to cheat over. That's the experience that Ryan Day has. So will Brian Hartline be able to go out there and do? I thought it was fascinating during the spring. He said something along the lines of, he's not really an X's and O's guys on the board. He leaves that to Keenan Bailey. He leaves that to Ryan Day. So basically, all of these plays, these are all Ryan's plays. Ryan designed all of this. He designed the scheme. He designed the plays. He kind of likened it to, hey, I'm going out there and it's like me playing Madden, a video game. I just need to make sure that I'm getting them in the correct plays and I'm picking the right plays. So I think it's going to take a while, Dave. It's going to be a learning curve for him. I don't expect him to come out here and look like he's Lincoln Riley, offensive coordinator, his first couple of games. I do think it's going to be a group effort. There's no way they go to South Bend, Dave, and say, here, Brian, have at it. That game is going to be so big. The stakes are going to be so high on primetime TV. The last thing that you're going to do is trot out a clunky offense out there. Ryan Day will have his fingerprints all over that offense.
I love having Joe Philbin on this staff too. As an analyst, that's straight out of the Nick Saban playbook. You have a former NFL head coach, longtime NFL offensive coordinator, longtime NFL offensive line coach as an analyst. That's awesome. That's going to also help. And Brian Hartline, of course, played for him when Brian was with the Dolphins and Philbin was the head coach of the Dolphins. So I love that hire. All right, a few more things. We'll get you out of here. What impact do you expect from Josh Simmons at right tackle, and what impact do you expect from Tywone Malone at D tackle? Both those big guys.
I think Josh Simmons is going to be a day one starter, Dave. I think they feel a whole lot better about where they're at when it comes to the offensive line, having him in there. The question is, will he be left? Will he be right? Justin Fry had mentioned in interviews that they're going to rotate a lot of those offensive linemen to see what the best fit is. So he may be your left tackle. They may move Fryer back to the right side, just depending on how those guys mesh up. But make no mistake, he will be a starter here. And you look at Tywone Malone, I think he's going to be a depth piece. A lot of people look at his stats, Dave, and they think about, oh, he really wasn't that productive at Ole Miss. Keep in mind, he was a 6'4", 305-pound guy playing defensive end in a 3-4 defense at Ole Miss. I truly believe he was out of place. When you look at a 3-4 defense, they usually have those bigger guys out there. He shouldn't be playing on the edge. With him moving on the inside, with his size and his athleticism, he should be able to get after it when he's going against guards and centers. So I do believe he's going to be a rotational piece that can get you 20, 25 snaps a game, because Tyleek, as much as we love Tyleek, we just want Tyleek to go as hard as he can and then get him out, rotate somebody else in there. And I think that's where you're going to have a hero canoe and Tywone Malone go in there and provide some solid depth.
Yeah, I'm with you on all of that. I like that they got Malone. I'm not expecting a lot from him right away. I love that he's now focused on football. That's going to help him a lot. He's put baseball on the shelf and focusing on football. That's going to help a lot, and that was great getting him for depth. But, yeah, Josh Simmons was a big get. And I'm not saying he's going to come in and be like a stud right away, but I agree with you. He will be a starter, in my opinion. He's got to beat out Tegra. He's got to beat out Zen. They're not just going to give it to him, but I'm confident that he'll win that job. And now they've got some depth at offensive tackle, which is nice. All right, look. Recruiting real quick. Aaron Scott down to his final 5. No surprise. Buckeyes are in there. I don't know. What do you feel here? Do you feel like if you had a pick right now, you think Aaron Scott's going to be a Buckeye?
I think he's going to be a Buckeye, Dave, in the very end here. I think the family's going to be tough to overcome. If you look at some of his interviews, a lot of people believe that his father, he basically said it. His father hates Michigan. He feels some type of way about Michigan. So he was he was not thrilled, to say the least, that Michigan was one of his finalists. But the father's gonna Round of applause for the dad. But yeah, his dad.
Scott, you're my type of guy. Okay, go ahead.
But his dad's not going to pressure him to go to Ohio State. But it's clear that he understands, where his family allegiance is at. I was reading a story from 24/7 Sam Webb, Michigan site, and Aaron Scott even said he has family members who told him, if you go to Michigan, I love you. I will come to support you. But there's no way in heck that I'm going to be seen in Michigan color. I will come to your Michigan games decked out head to toe in Ohio State gear, but I'm there to support you because you're family. So that right there kind of tells you, where his family mindset is at. I do believe in the end, Michigan has done an excellent job recruiting him, coming hard, but the relationship that he has with Ohio State, along with the distance being right here in the backyard of Ohio State, and the family really being big Buckeye fans, will play heavily in this decision. So I can see once he decides, it will be the Buckeyes.
This kid lives about a half hour down the road from me. So he come on, number one player in the state of Ohio, one of the top corners in the nation, 5-star player. You got to land him in it. I agree with you. I think they will. All right, last thing. The SEC announced they're going to stick with an 8-game conference schedule. But next year, 2024, they're going to remove divisions. No divisions in the SEC. I was hoping they'd go to a 9-game conference schedule. Of course, they're not going to do that. What are your thoughts on that?
Go to 9, Dave. I mean, you're bringing Oklahoma, you're bringing Texas in there. Do it for the fans. I mean, you look at these 8 games right here. Hey, we want to pad our stats against Tennessee, Chattanooga in November, just so that more teams could potentially be bowl eligible. I just think that the big dogs in Georgia, Florida, LSU, they were all for the 9 games. I was really surprised that Nick Saban, after all those years pushing for 9 games, decided to vote against it. He's one of the schools that voted for 8 games. You look at the Big Ten. I look at the Big Ten and say, okay, you got your 9 games. You got USC. You got UCLA coming over. You're probably going to do away with divisions as well. What's the better route? Do you want to have that competitive, game, more competitive game for your fans who are paying a boatload of money for these season tickets? Or do you want to just get a win against a powder puff team and say, hey, we're bowl eligible right now? I like what the Big Ten is doing because once we get to the 12 teams, Dave, I do believe the Big Ten will be battle tested headed into those games. With the SEC, you're going to miss a lot of those big games on the rotation. I mean, Georgia hasn't played over at Texas A&M since they've joined the SEC. You look at, some of the rotations that's going to be coming up. A lot of these teams won't play each other for years, and they're big traditional rivals. So I'm just a huge proponent of having more quality games on the schedule, not only for the viewership, but also for a lot of those fans. They pay a boatload of money for those season tickets, Dave. And the last thing that you want is to have a weak home schedule with 3 powder puffs on there just so that you can pad your stats for wins. Because at the end of the day, if the fan engagement is not there, you don't have a full stadium, then you're only hurting yourself in the long run.
And now them moving to the 12-team playoff, it gives you more, leeway.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of the argument against it. It's like, why are we going to risk it? Only 4 teams make it. Why are you going to set yourself up now? I mean, if you're Ohio State, you could theoretically go 9-3, and you're probably going to be in the top 12 every year.
Right. And I mean, you look at Ohio State, Dave, they still got those future games on the schedule, knowing that the Big Ten is probably going to do away with division. So if you're Ohio State and you have a 9-game schedule with USC, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State on there, and then you throw in, I think they have Texas coming up, Alabama coming up on the schedule. You look at that and you're like, hey, if we can run through that schedule, what does that do for your confidence as a program to say, we probably have one of the hardest schedules in the country, but you know what? We stood the test of time. We got a steel chin. We took everybody's best punch, and look at where we're at right now. We're standing tall, as opposed to, we padded our stats. We may got 11 wins, 10 wins, but who did we really play? What do we really know about this team? Are they a legit title contender? Yes, we're going to out-talent and out-athlete majority of our schedule, but we really don't know a lot about this football team because they haven't been battle-tested. So I'd rather see my team go up against some dogs, play them hard, may not be a 40-point blowout, but you know what? It built a lot of character. We saw some physicality. We saw some young guys develop towards the end of the season. And once we hit that 12-team playoff, we're ready to roll.
You're always ready to roll. He is Jonah Booker. Great stuff from JBook. Thank you very much to JBook. Thanks to all of you for tuning into the show. We appreciate it very much. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend.